Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public service announcement. For regular viewers and listeners of AWI Pod, please do not be offended, as this program contains good wrestling.
It's my life in the box in front of me. Taking talk in my arms is the soul of me. You walk by, ask to see me lay face down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the 33rd edition of Warring to Attitude. I was going to say it's the Scottie Pippen edition of Warring to Attitude, but I didn't know if everybody out there would know what I meant. But anyway, I'm your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, is a man who lives across the ocean and is from the future, but less of the future for at least 1 week than normal. He is the ballroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite stretching, intercontinental playboy. Folks, he's more over than turning your clocks back. G.A. Russell Nut, Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Talking about that, do yours actually go back this coming weekend?
Yep, this Saturday evening they go back.
So I'm all right for Friday. Then after that, it's back to normal.
Yeah, then you're back to for 1 week. You get to only have to you'll only have to stay up until 2 a.m. instead of 3. For one. So does that like change what time wrestling comes on for you, or does it stay the same?
Yeah. No, BT, aka now TNT Sports, confused the hell out of me last night. As it said, Raw came on at 1 o'clock, but it didn't. It came on at 12, which I thought it would, so I was ready for it. Which means I'll get to see NXT tonight at a reasonable hour and be in bed at a reasonable hour, which is good.
This is Glenn, a man in his 60s, telling you that because the show starts at midnight on a Tuesday, he can at least watch it at a reasonable hour. When my grandparents were in their 60s, they did not consider midnight a decent hour.
No, they wouldn't have.
Absolutely not. Sorry, I just thought that was funny. I found that hilarious. I don't even think midnight's a decent hour. Midnight, I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. I'll never make it to midnight. Like, unless it's New Year's Eve, nope. But anyway, is anything else we need to talk about or discuss? There's not really any football to discuss because, I mean, our team dominated on Saturday. So
yeah, that was a squash match. That was the football equivalent of a squash match.
It was the football equivalent of you picking up your opponent and throwing him around the ring in a helicopter fashion.
It was.
This is what that was.
When you're towards the top of the league, it's what you should be doing to the team that's bottom, putting 5 goals past them. But it's good anyway.
Yeah, I mean a win is a win. But yeah, it's good. If it would have only skeeked out a 1-0 or a 2-1 win or some shit, we would have been irritated. So it's good that it was a thrubbing because that's what it should have been.
Yeah, and it kept Arsenal above Manchester City, which is good.
That's great news. And Manchester City beat Manchester United, in which that's a game you wish that it could just end in a tie. But unfortunately,
no, United aren't that good at the moment for that sort of thing.
No, them and Chelsea are two very surprisingly bad teams. I'd say United more than Chelsea. I thought Chelsea would be pretty mediocre this season anyway, which I think they're worse than mediocre.
Yes, yeah, just about.
We still got to fucking draw with them though. God damn it.
Yeah. Anyway, what isn't mediocre is this show.
No, you're right, Glenn. This episode of 1997 Raw was very, very good. And you messaged us during the week and said that this is one of the more iconic episodes. And it really is. A lot. It was one certain thing on this show that really is going to kick off something that's going to go on, for fucking 15 years. So,
yeah.
So, yeah. Let's get into it. It's Raw's War. It's January.
I suppose as it is actually, as we're recording the 31st of October, we better wish the listeners happy Halloween, although they've had their Halloween by the time they'll hear this.
That's true. And I was going to make my more over than trick-or-treating or something, but I don't know why I changed it to because we were talking about daylight savings time, I think.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
What's your favorite? We may have talked about this on the show one time, but I was probably drunk that time. So, what's your favorite Halloween candy, Glenn?
It's been so long. Gummy bears. I love gummy bears.
Fuck yeah, Glenn. I do love some good gummy bears too. But if we're going Halloween candy, I like Reese's. Reese's is my go-to. I love a good Reese's.
I tried when I used to do this sort of trick or treating with my girls. Tried to dissuade them from having chocolate because by the time they got it home, it would all be melted and.
Well, not in this day and age, Glenn, because it's fucking cold as fuck in October, so we'd be fine.
That's very true, I suppose.
So is Halloween as big over there as it is over here? Is it the same sort of thing?
We've copied you. It's another one of those things that we've copied. It wasn't. It used to be. We were aware of it. They used to do sorts of things like apple bobbing and that sort of thing on the telly.
Oh,
yeah, and you'd get the classic sort of Universal monster horror movie late at night.
Yeah,
but it seems to have got more and more commercial now, and it's only just quietened down here. It was like a war zone out there earlier.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like that here too. Of course, it's everybody. All the young kids are going to go out and make fools of themselves. And I was once one of those young kids that went out and made fools of themselves. Never dressed in a costume though.
I was a young adult that made fools of himself at Halloween and dressed in costumes.
Yeah, I see. Let me ask you this: as an adult, what's your favorite Halloween costume that you ever pulled off as an adult?
There's one I can't mention because it is definitely politically incorrect now.
Oh, okay.
But at the time I did it, it wasn't. But I've got to say, the Dracula that I did one year, our pub was right next door to a church with a very large graveyard. So we had some shenanigans, shall we say, after the pub shut in the graveyard.
I like the sound of that, pal. That sounds like some good Halloween fun right there. Yeah, I'm not, as an adult, I've never really dressed up as anything. It's funny because my wife currently is at work dressed up as Sneezy from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So, yeah, so that's
Why
great.
Sneezy?
My wife sneezes a lot. Like, you don't understand too. And like, she's one of those people where if she sneezes, she's gonna sneeze like 7-8 times. No, I'm not that many. I'm exaggerating, but like, at least if she's sneezing, it's at least 3 times, maybe 4 every time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, so
yeah, that's why she got to be Sneezy, which I thought was very fitting for her. Unless there was the Seven Dwarf that had freezing cold fucking feet, which I don't think they do. That would have fit for her.
No, they didn't have a Frosty.
Yeah, Frosty would have worked for it too if that had been one of them. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was fun. I have a little Halloween discussion since we recorded this on Halloween. I thought about finding my mullet, but I didn't. But a place, Glenn, where they probably have lots of mullets, and that is Des Moines, Iowa, which is where this Monday Night Raw took place on June the 30th at the Veterans Memorial Auditorium, which opened in February 1st. I've got October on the brain. February 1st of 1955. This arena held the infamous cage match between Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man, which was shown on Saturday Night's Main Event. Number 21 on April the 25th in 1989. Do you remember this cage match, Glenn?
Yes. Yeah, I watched that a couple of times.
I'm pretty sure that that's the one where he suplexes him off the top of the cage, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah, very iconic moment. And also, January 20th of 1982, this arena held an Ozzy Osbourne concert where he famously bit off the head of a bat. Have you heard this story?
Have I? Of course I have.
I was going to say.
Ozzy's one of my idols.
So it took place in this very building, Glenn. So from what I read, I guess he says the bat was alive and it bit him when he was biting it and it gave him rabies. However, the 17-year-old
Yeah.
who brought the bat to the show and threw it on stage said that it was brought to the show dead. So I don't know if that's true, but he did bite the head off the fucking
That's more like it.
bat. As one a wise man
Even
once
now,
said, everything's pro wrestling.
they do a program over here where Jack Osborne shows clips of hauntings and things to Ozzy and what's her name? I can't think.
Sharon.
Yeah, that's her. Ozzy's out of it now, so he was definitely out of it back then.
Oh, 100%. I also saw another story. Yeah. He bit the head off a pigeon too, or some shit like that.
No, that was a fake one.
That was fake too? Okay.
That was definitely a fake one. That was because of the story of the bat. They set up the pigeon thing.
That makes sense.
To sort of wind people up a bit more.
Get PETA more riled up. I don't know why. So they kind of show the history between the Undertaker and Paul Bearer and everything that's gone over the last 6 weeks or so between the two. You know how about Paul Bearer is wanted to tell us, the whole world, about the big secret surrounding the Undertaker. So if you somehow never heard this secret, prepare to be shocked, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Prepare to be shocked.
There was one thing before we actually get into the main show. That there was a note that there was a dark match for this show, and it was a tryout match with Henry Godwin beating reigning CMLL heavyweight champion Sean Steele Morley.
Oh. That's about Venus, isn't it?
It certainly is.
How do you, Glenn, do you know how to say hello, ladies, in Spanish?
Hola, senoritas.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I knew how to say it. I just thought it'd be fun if you said it. Anyway, so we open the show with Ken Shamrock making his way down to the ring. He's going to be taking on Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who's got China alongside him, of course. We get a pre-match promo from Hunter where he says Ken Shamrock might be the world's most dangerous man, but he's got something better with him. And then China steps in, flexes her muscles, and says, the world's most dangerous woman. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock's got something over her, though. The world's most dangerous dressing gown.
I knew you were going to bring that one up.
Although this one wasn't quite as pink as the other one. This was more reddy color.
It's still silk, though. Like, why are you wearing your bathrobe to the ring, Ken? Strange. So I mean, Ken Shamrock and Hunter Hearst Helmsley match here was pretty freaking good. I mean, some good match wrestling to start. Yeah. Hunter doing some good heel work as he pokes Ken Shamrock right in the eye. That's what I would do.
That's right. Look at a thing from JR who name drops Moondog Maine. Now I know Moondog Spot and all the others, but I didn't know there was a Moondog Maine.
Maybe that's a place. Is there a Moondog Maine that he likes to visit? They got good barbecue, maybe.
Don't know.
Hold on, let me pause it. And we're back.
Yep. Apparently, Moondog Maine was Lonnie Maine. And he died in 1978. So can't see how Ken Shamrock, Mr. JR, was an influence on these. It was Moondog Maine was an influence on Ken Shamrock's career.
Yeah, I've never heard of any Moondog Maine. That's very strange. Another thing I like this is that Triple H has got Shamrock down the corner. He's like stomping him, and Hebner's trying to get Hunter to let him out of the corner, but he wouldn't. So Earl just grabs his fucking hair and just yanks him out of the corner.
I've never seen a referee get so violent with somebody.
Yeah, no, that never happens. I think it's like a long-running thing that's going to keep happening with Hunter and Earl over his career because he always gets physical with him.
Excellent to see, though. Feel about assert your authority. Hunter uses the knee, knock Shamrock down, but and then China attacks him and
Yep.
smashes him into the stairs. But that didn't seem to have a lot of effect on him, really.
Was the world's most dangerous man,
He
Glenn.
didn't actually sell that much, no.
Yeah, so then Mankind makes his way out to the ring. He kind of distracts Triple H a little bit, which allows Shamrock to get up. He catches Hunter with a belly to back suplex. He gets the 3 count. Mankind immediately gets in the ring and attacks Hunter after the match, but Hunter bails out and kind of gets the fuck out of there as fast as he can. With China in tow. But a decent opening match, better than what we usually get.
Yeah. Yeah, because normally they start. It was refreshing to actually start with the match.
Yeah,
rather than having a 10-minute ramble from somebody. Normally Bret Hart.
It's funny how long 20 years later we're still going to be watching people always come out and cut a 10-minute promo to start the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we get a recap. Ahmed Johnson joins the Nation, turning on the Undertaker. Then we get to hear the promo that he cut again with the crew had his back, even though the crew had been whooping his ass for 6 months. We also get a recap of DOA making their debut, and then of course Ahmed gets some torn ligaments in his knee. They give us another promo from him. He seemed a bit loopy, maybe after the surgery, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. He's got to be the only person ever that has got himself injured in a promo section.
Maybe him and Kevin Nash. I think Kevin Nash might have gotten injured in a promo segment.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he blames the Undertaker. He says he sent DOA out there. I'm not sure where he came to that conclusion. He's like, that damn one of those guys was the fake Undertaker. I know the fake Undertaker when I see him.
Yeah.
I know it. We then
makes the promise of all promises that he's going to come back and get his revenge. Well, sadly, I mean, no, you don't.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know what happens with Ahmed's career after this, but I don't think any more championship matches are in the cards.
No, it spiraled downwards very quickly.
Yeah. So then we get a promo with LOD, and it's more of the same, them screaming and yelling. But like the interesting thing is, we get a new young, fresh face interviewer for this one, Glenn. A young man named Michael Cole. You know Michael Cole, Glenn?
He looked about 10 years old.
Yes, he did.
So fresh faced. Oh, it was wonderful.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, Michael fucking Cole. We're going to see him get tortured by The Rock for a better part of a year before he actually gets to be a color commentator. So, poor Michael Cole. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. Michael Cole's debut was this night.
The worrying thing is that you've got a fresh-faced Michael Cole. You've got a fairly advanced in years, JR. And yet JR is still appearing on TV.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think JR is pretty good at his job. So,
yeah, sadly, it can't be said now.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably not. Yeah, so then we come back from the break and we see a dollar bill stuffed inside a women's shirt, and that could only be Sunny, of course.
It's cash for Sunny.
Apparently, you could have probably, before she was in prison, you probably could found that someplace on the internet. But anyway, I guess they're giving away $1 million for SummerSlam. And then the Nation of Domination comes down to the ring. The Nation of Domination is good for a tag team match, and the winner will face the winner of the Headbangers versus Owen and Bulldog later on. It's the LOD versus the NOD. Glenn, isn't that fun?
Yeah, it was. This is as much as Legion of Doom are one of the greatest tag teams of all time, no doubt about that. But again, this is another match they're having where nobody wants to sell anything. It just takes everything away from it.
It was also it's a strange pairing. Because when you look at the two matches, you've got the Headbangers versus Owen and the Bulldog. So Owen and Bulldog are basically heels. Headbangers are tweeners, I guess. LOD's hot baby face, and NOD and the Nation Dominations are heels. So why would your finals of this tag team tournament be Nation of Domination versus the Hart Foundation?
Oh,
Like, why would you want that to happen?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the only reason for this match is because the Godwins come out and get involved, and cost LOD the match, which you're going to then further the feud with the Godwins and LOD that nobody probably cares about.
Yeah, old Hog hits Hulk with his slot bucket.
Yep.
Farouk gets the pin. Bad officiating, bad match, and bad finish.
Yeah, and then
So
after
that sums that up, really.
it really does. There's not really a whole lot to note because all the match was to set up something further with the LOD and the Godwins and for the promo gets in the ring because Farouk wants to talk. They want to know why someone from the Nation didn't get to face the Undertaker. Now that Ahmed Johnson is hurt, I laughed pretty hard when D'Lo told Vince to shut up, and the face that Vince made when D'Lo screamed "shut up" at him made me laugh.
Oh, I know. This thing is reverse racism. I'm not sure it worked then, and it certainly doesn't work now.
Yeah, it's just not something you would definitely not, and it didn't even need it. Like they could have, said anything else. You're intimidated by a strong group, and then you could have just said that, and it would have had they would have had a better effect. I think. I don't know. But yeah, so Vince asked Farouk about Crush, and he says that Crush and DOA were sent by the Undertaker to take them out. So apparently, Farouk believes that it's the Undertaker, and them are in cahoots. Apparently,
the Undertaker's in cahoots with everybody.
Yeah, the Undertaker. Apparently, anybody who rides a motorcycle, they're with the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And then as he's talking some more, Savio Vega comes out. He does the same, the same thing Crush does. You didn't fire me because I quit. I don't know if anybody told him, but Crush already stole that line. And he's like, "Oh, you guys attacked me back last week," and because he was alone, but he says he's here for revenge. And Farouk tells him, if you want to do something about it, get in the ring. Salvio Vega says, "Okay." He whistles. 3 other Latin men join in. They get in the ring. Everybody starts brawling. We then hear motorcycles. The DOA drives down to the ring. They get in the ring. Everybody starts brawling. It's like the Royal Rumble out here, Glenn.
I know. And then you throw a load of cops and security in that ring as well. There was about 80 men in there at one point.
Yes, there was men in
there. I hate to actually reference the Observer, but I do like this. There was a comment on this match. This was not exactly NWO versus WCW like on Nitro at the time, as far as the crowd reaction and intrigue went.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got the Nation, and they're fighting 8 guys, and 6 of them we don't even know who they are. So,
that's it.
Just we know who they are, but the crowd don't fucking know.
No, just some Puerto Ricans dragged off the street.
Nobody went and looked at the Harris brothers and went, "That's fucking Jacob and Eli Blue, isn't it? Those bald sons of bitches."
Yeah. Oh, they're those as well.
I didn't fucking find that out until I was in my 20s, to be honest with you. And so that all happened. Savio Vega gets on the mic afterwards, and he tells the Nation of Domination that if you wanted to talk about gangs, we know something about gangs, and these are the Los Boricuas. So now we've got the DOA, the Nation of Domination, and the Los Boricuas. A lot. Stables are popping up everywhere, Glenn.
Yep.
We then see a video package, Glenn, a very interesting video package about a upcoming Raw magazine appearance for Sonny. And the kid says they found some behind-the-scenes shots of Sonny hanging out with Brian Pillman, of all people, which I thought was interesting.
Basically, he was probably at that time the only person in that locker room she wasn't banging.
Or something.
And they picked him.
Or the only one who was like, "Yeah, I'll be around her for a little while, fine." Nobody else wanted to.
No.
Yeah. So then they show the Undertaker in the back. They tell him that we will talk to him after this match. And it's ironic, Glenn, because we just saw Big Ivan Putski popping them pecs on, the Wrestling Classic watch along that we're currently doing.
Yeah, and there he get his son.
And now we've got his son, Scott Putski, taking on Jared the King Lawler's son, Brian Christopher.
Again, you know, I like to plunge into Scott's blog of doom for little snippets of that. And he put on here, Putski looks like he's composed of 40% steroids and 60% baby oil.
He looked like a Oompa Loompa.
He did.
All he needed was fucking they have green hair, right?
Yeah.
Oompa Loompa Doopa Dee Doo. We've got another Pollock for you.
Don't you start. It's bad enough with the king all this bad Polish chat.
I'm sorry to any of our Polish listeners. We don't have any. I mean, well, I'm German. You can make fun of me all you want. I live in Nebraska. I'm a hick with no teeth. Use that. All right. So yeah. So Brian Christopher comes to the ring, and they are, they're making a bunch of jokes about, is that your son? And the King's like, mind your own business. It's my personal business. So we want to answer the question. Lots of Polish jokes like the ones I just made. All things considered, this was a decent, nice heavyweight match between two decent wrestlers.
That was it. It was all the other shenanigans going on around it that was the problem.
Yeah, it was definitely mainly. Yeah, there's more about Jerry Lawler and Brian Christopher being his son or not being his son than anything about the match. Pussy hits the top rope splash. It looks like he's going to get the win, but then Lawler gets up on the apron. Christopher tries to, I guess their plan was to send Putski into him and have Lawler punch him.
Yeah.
But then Putski reversed it, and they knock Lawler off the apron. And then Putski tries to do a power slam, but Lawler grabs his foot, and Christopher lands on top of him and gets the pin for the win. After the match, Putski, of course, is pissed because they duped him and he lost. So he starts beating up Brian Christopher. King gets in the ring, and then they give him a spike pile driver. So
yes, glad they don't do that sort of thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a shame with Scott Putski and everything, because this would have been a good feud with it between him and Brian Christopher, but it never came to anything.
I'm are you expecting somewhere down the line Ivan was going to show up by as much shit as they were talking about him? You figured, well, Ivan's going to show up. You would have walking all his head. You
would have thought that they would have set up I don't know if Ivan was still fit enough to wrestle at this time, but dads and sons in a tag match. Let the sons do most of the work.
Yeah, that always works.
Yeah.
That always works.
Yeah, it didn't happen, so it's a shame. They missed the trick, really.
And then they're really pushing the Stone Cold Steve Austin video, because we get another promo of it with Stone Cold Steve Austin he's doing an impression of Hulk Hogan. So
yeah.
That's actually some footage from ECW, so it's interesting that they put that on the DVD. I'm sorry, it wasn't even DVDs, and it was a VHS cassette, is what it was.
Yeah, yeah. There's probably Steve Austin had the rights to it.
That could be. They were kind of in bed with ECW a little bit.
I was going to say, they were very much. Paulie Dangerously was around at that time, and
right. I'm sure they gave him a little bit of money and they let him have it. We then hear from the Undertaker, and he says, you're going to hear some things tonight from the worst night of my life. But please understand that you got to get all the facts before you judge me. So there's that. We'll be hearing from Paul Bearer soon.
Paul Bearer is going to spread lies and slander.
Like Paul Bearer does.
Yeah.
We then go back to the arena. Brian Pillman's working this day down to the ring here. We first get shown a video package of the great Sasuke. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
And he's going to be facing off against someone who WWF fans of the late 90s and early 2000s will know fondly, Taka Michinoku, In Your House Canadian Stampede. And we'll be reviewing that show next week. And I've watched this match before, and it's amazing.
I bet it is.
And then they'd start telling the story, Glenn, of how Brian Pillman apparently attacked a fan on Shotgun Saturday Night.
Yeah. That's basically they wanted to get him off commentary, I think.
Yeah. You never know what that guy will say.
No.
And so he's been fired, but only fired from Shotgun Saturday Night because apparently beating up a fan isn't enough to get you fired from the company altogether, but just fired from your commentary job.
Yeah, you can still fight. That's fine. And
but you're not going to talk about it.
No. In amongst all this nuttiness, he goes on about how he's going to bite off Mankind's good ear.
He did. Well, I think this was around the time Mike Tyson had bit Evander Holyfield, so maybe
probably.
So we get Mankind versus Pillman up next. So Mankind comes out, he's got the pick me sign around his neck. He's even got a gift. He's got a gift for old JR here. He gives it to him because he's sorry for choking him, and it's his very own mandible claw hand, which is just in time for Halloween 2023. So that's very appropriate that he would give him that, but I don't know why JR would want it.
No. I don't think JR knew why he wanted it either.
No. Glenn, how many Mankind hands you got in your closet?
None.
None?
No.
I'm surprised, Glenn. I'm surprised. Pillman attacks him from behind. He starts choking him with his pick me sign. He then breaks it, which isn't very nice. Mankind worked hard on that fucking sign. He takes that glove away from JR, and he starts shoving it in Mankind's fucking eyeball.
It's because nothing can happen without interference.
Yeah,
that
is true.
Because all that's going on, Mankind gets a running knee on Pillman. Pillman stomps away, and then for no reason whatsoever, Triple H comes out, or Hunter comes out.
Well, because they're in a feud, they're going to be facing off at
I know, but it just come out at the end.
Yeah.
If you're going to beat somebody up, do it at the end of the match, not halfway through. This is that if I've got any criticism at all of this period, there is too much of that where somebody comes out, interferes, or something happens, and it all gets thrown out.
That's one of those things that people complain a lot now about, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's so much better back then," and then you watch and you're like, "Oh, it's the same."
No, it wasn't any better. If anything, there was more. You get more clean finishes now than you did then.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right about that one. And as we get into 1998, because spoiler alert, when we're done with 97, we're going to go into 98. Maybe things will change, but I don't think they do.
I can't say it.
They also did a side-by-side promo with Austin during this thing. They asked him about, Mankind wanted to be his partner. And he says, well, I think Mankind's pretty smart for that because I'm the best. And I kick ass. And, of course, he wants to be the tag team champion. But he thinks that Mankind sucks. And then he does some foreshadowing here by saying, you'll never know if you're getting Mankind, Dude Love, or Cactus Jack. Which none of that's even happened yet. So some foreshadowing there from old Steve Austin. He says he doesn't give a damn about Shawn Michaels, Mankind, or anything, really. And he doesn't need a tag team partner.
No, that's it. You take on anybody.
And, this was a good physical match. I mean, these guys are really fucking working, but you just don't get, any sort of finish. Nobody ever wins or loses. It's always just
Mankind chases after Hunter, gets counted out, and Pillman wins by a count out.
Yeah, there's another point in this match where Pillman grabbed some pencils from the announce desk and was fixing to stab Mankind in the face with them, but Baby Hunter saved him. But China gets involved in Hunter. Mankind chases him out. Pillman wins by count out. After the match, Mankind gets on the mic and he said something, but I don't know what he said.
No, couldn't tell you.
He was like, ah!
I know. Just couldn't tell you what they said at all.
You ever had to run to somebody to tell them something important, but you ran so fast you got no air left in you, so you go when you go to tell them, you just go. That's what happened to Mankind. So they let us know that we will now be hearing from Paul Bearer about the big secret, the Undertaker's secret. And I made a little video of Paul talking about the Undertaker's secret here. And so let's get on. Let's hear what Paul Bearer has to say here.
About 20 years to be exact. We're talking about a little funeral home sitting up on a hill, beautiful oak trees all around, and a wonderful, wonderful family-owned funeral home. The family lived upstairs. There were 2 little kids there. One kid was a little red-headed punk. And then there was a second kid, a sweet little kid named Kane. Now, I was the apprentice at the funeral home. I worked under the red-headed punk's father, who by now you probably know is the Undertaker. But while I was working at that funeral home, I seen a lot of things going on that shouldn't have been happening. This little red-headed punk, there was something funny about him. He had a look in his eyes. The look of the devil. He was a devil's seed, if you know what I mean. What was so sad about the whole situation is that poor little Kane, the little brother, followed the Undertaker around everywhere he went. The Undertaker was little Kane's hero. Anything the Undertaker did was fine. But you know, one particular afternoon, I was leaving to go to school. As I backed my car out of the funeral home, I looked behind, and who do I see? That red-head devil seed Undertaker with his little brother. Something was funny. Something didn't seem right. But I went ahead and backed out of the driveway, went to school. I came back from school about 10 o'clock that night, and what do I see? I see fire trucks. I see ambulance. I see steam and smoke, and I see the funeral home in ashes. Someone burned down the funeral home. Inside the funeral home was this lovely family that took care of me. I looked over to the bushes. Who did I see in the bushes but the Undertaker? Undertaker, you burnt the funeral home to the ground.
So there you have it.
Yes.
He then goes on to call the Undertaker. He says you killed your family, Undertaker. He then goes on to call him a goddamn murderer. When he stops talking, some thunder and lightning starts bellowing through the arena.
Yeah, and the lights go, and obviously that little red-headed punk wasn't happy.
Yes. He absolutely was not happy.
Says the other red-headed punk.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too, because I was like, "You're redheaded too, motherfucker."
Both had pitch black hair in 1991.
And also, like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna unpack this here. If you thought that he was so evil and the spawn of Satan, why would you hang out with him for so long? Then why wouldn't you have just been like, you know?
I know. And how did you get the name Undertaker? He wasn't an Undertaker. He was a red-headed punk.
Actually, when his birth certificate, Glenn, his first name is the middle name Under, last name Taker. So they just put it all together.
Yeah, that's okay.
I guess, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty iconic thing there.
It certainly is. When I watched it the other day, it all came back So it was yesterday. He's watched it for the first time. Could remember it all.
Yeah.
Considering how long ago that was, it's a miracle.
It's like we watch some stuff that's shit, and so when you see stuff like that, it reminds you that okay, it's gonna get it's gonna get better, and they're setting it up to start getting better. You know what I mean? Yeah. So then we go to a commercial break. We come back, and Paul Bearer is in the back. He's sweating. He is being consoled by Big Leon Vader. That is.
Mhm.
In the back. We then go right over to Sable and Mark Merrill. Sable is showing off the $1 million giveaway, and Mark Merrill is showing $1 million worth of sass because he's pissed about this whole situation.
Well, because she was showing off more than just the $1 million giveaway. She's showing off the $1 million boob job that she just had done as well.
Something like that. She was showing off a lot of $1 million or something. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Very outstanding.
And for any of you people out there who own a time machine and would like to go back to 1997 and perhaps win this $1 million, we get the first clue in the competition. We see Hunter Hearst Helmsley pulling up to what I can only assume is his yacht club. He gives someone the keys, and then some guy shows up and says, the first clue is the key. So write that down, Glenn. Write it down. So we'll find out what the next clue is next week. Because as you know, Glenn has a time machine.
I only travel 5 hours into the future.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
That's future anyway.
And he can't tell you who won the Super Bowl. Don't ask him. He doesn't know. We then get the Headbangers versus Owen Hart and the Bulldog. This is the semifinals of the tag team tournament. Real contrast of styles, to say the least, for this one.
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't bad. Well, it was. And then again, you wouldn't expect Owen to have a bad match for anybody, really.
True. And, I mean, the Headbangers have a weird gimmick, but I always thought the Headbangers did some really cool shit in the ring.
Yeah. They were good workers. There was no doubt about that. They were misused a lot.
Yeah. Well, what do you think they would have got over better, the Headbangers or the Flying Nuns?
The Headbangers all day.
You sure?
The Flying Nuns was such a bad gimmick.
Yeah, I don't know, Glenn. I like the Flying Nuns. I think they could have went further. The Flying Nuns, 16-time tag team champions. I can see it, Glenn. They'd be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Anyway, during this match, we also get a phone interview with Bret Hart. First, they say he's going to call, and he isn't going to call, and then all of a sudden, he just pops up out of nowhere. Apparently, he called collect. Vince is like, "Hey, did you not come tonight because Austin's back tonight?" Bret says he's not afraid of Austin. And he says he's going to ask how the fans are going to react during the 5-on-5 tag team match in Canada this week. He says the 5 wrestlers from America for a rude awakening. While Bret's on the phone, Mosh kind of takes control of the match. Looks like they're going to hit their finisher on Bulldog, but then Owen pulls Thrasher off the top rope. Owen then rolls Mosh up with like a jackknife pin. And they win the match. And they start brawling afterwards. And then out of nowhere, this was the strangest fucking thing, the end of this.
Yeah.
So,
Jim Cornette.
Yeah, motherfucking Jim Cornette shows up out of nowhere. He's like, "Oh, you guys think you're tough? I got a tag team that's pretty bad. You want to see how bad they are?" And apparently it was the night to blow the fucking whistle to bring your bad guys out because Savio Vega blew a whistle and then Jim Cornette blew a whistle. And these two short, stout motherfuckers, I don't know who the fuck they were. I don't know where they came from. I'm lost, Glenn. I was so lost. Yeah, I don't know who these guys are.
No, I can't. I couldn't tell you. No, basically dollar store headhunters.
Yeah, I'm not sure where these guys came from or what these guys are doing. They're with Jim Cornette. Apparently, they start fighting with Bulldog, Owen, and the Headbangers. Eventually, Bulldog and Owen say, "Fuck this shit. We don't even know these guys." They leave. So the funny thing is, like, the Headbangers are beating the shit out of these guys until Jim Cornette gets in there to distract him. And then finally, these guys actually one of them does a moonsault, which is pretty fucking impressive, but I don't know. I don't know.
I don't remember them at all, so they obviously didn't last very long.
I literally thought that the NWA, remember when Cornette does the NWA invasion? I thought that gimmick was starting. That's literally what I thought this was. And then here come these guys. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Oh, man. That was very strange. We then come back from a break, and then the Undertaker gets going to get to tell his side of the story here, and I've also, of course, made a video of that too. So let's hear the Undertaker's account of the funeral home fire.
It is true. My mother, my father, and my little brother burnt to death in the family funeral home. Yes, Kane and I were playing with matches that day, and we were punished when my father found us. Me more so than Kane. I was the oldest, and after he punished me, he sent me on my way to do my daily chores. And as I was leaving the funeral home, I looked back, and I seen Kane leaving out one of the rear doors of the embalming room. And I seen that he had those liquids in his hand. As I returned to the funeral home from doing my chores, I could hear the sirens. I could see the smoke filling the sky. When I got to the funeral home, it was engulfed in flames. I never slowed down for 1 second. I ran right for the front door. That's when they grabbed me. They wouldn't let me go in. Firefighters, they held me back. And as I stood there, restrained, I watched the funeral home, and inside that funeral home was my mother, my father, and little Kane. And yes, Paul, it's true. I wasn't at the funeral, but you didn't care to explain to the people why that was. That 2 nights before, during the middle of the night, you drugged me to the neighboring funeral home so that I could see my family. Till this very day, the image of my mother laying on that table. As you pulled that sheet back, and I look at the burnt and charred body of the most wonderful woman that had ever walked on this earth, laid there. The air escaped from my lungs. I thought I was going to be sick. But you insisted that this small boy in the middle of the night go and look at the charred remains of what 2 days earlier was his family. I draw strength from the spirit of the dead. And that spirit of my mother, of my father, and of my little brother will strike you down, Paul Bear. Will strike you down.
That's some heavy, heavy stuff there, Glenn.
You have to just admire the man. Well, both of them, really. This is such a nonsensical story that it could have just given to anybody else. It would have just been a load of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Probably had everybody laughing after 2 minutes. But these two do such a job with it. It lasted 20 years, for God's sake, that story.
Yeah. Yeah, and like none of that seems like corny or cheesy acting or anything like that.
No, none of it at all.
Very, very good stuff, and it's going to be interesting to see where this thing goes. Glenn, such a heavy topic. There's only one thing that you can do to, sort of break the air with that sort of heaviness on the show, and that is our old pal Rockabilly, Glenn, of course.
Rockabilly.
Woo! Way to go.
Longer than the man. Get up.
Billy, all night long. Rockabilly, sing my song tonight.
Oh yeah, Glenn. The only way to come down from that is to listen to our old here. Rockabilly is going to take on Vader.
No, it's not.
Well, he's going to try. I'm gonna steal a gimmick from our old pals at the Unbooking the Territory podcast, and I'm gonna give out a ceremonial sign of the week on our show, and it goes to the guy in the crowd who has a sign that says "I could kick Rockabilly's ass." Congratulations to that man; he wins the sign of the week.
Yes. I'm not seeing him try though.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, he probably whoop your ass, buddy. Even today, like Billy Gunn is jacked.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Anyway.
Vader comes down with Paul Bearer. They make a note to tell us that the Undertaker is here and he could show up at any time to get his ass whooped by whoop Paul Bearer's ass. So Paul Bearer should watch his back. Rockabilly tries to break a guitar on Vader's back, but he no-sells it. But that's where the match pretty much ends.
It didn't even start. There was no bell, nothing.
Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't a match. I don't know. You know, the only thing that it could have been thrown out for is a DQ, but how can you DQ something that hadn't even started?
Especially when he hit him with the guitar, but he didn't even sell it. So it's like, well, I didn't hurt him, so I guess I didn't give him an advantage.
Yeah.
So the Undertaker shows up. He starts beating up Vader. Paul Bearer gets up. Instead of running, which I would have done, Paul Bearer decides to get on the mic and he just starts screaming, "Murderer! You're a murderer! You're a murderer!" into the microphone. So the Undertaker literally grabs him and just starts paintbrushing him, just smacking him back and forth. He's telling him to tell the truth, or tell the truth, or I'm gonna. He says, "I'll kill you right now, or you better tell the truth." And he says, "I am telling the truth. It's the truth. Kane told me." And the Undertaker calls him a liar and smacks him one more time, and Paul Bearer says it again. "It's true. Kane's alive. Kane told me." And by this time, Vader's up. He starts fighting with the Undertaker. And then, Paul and Vader hightail out of there. And so could it be true, Glenn? Is Kane alive?
Yeah, he was pretending to be Jerry the King Lawler's dentist, wasn't he?
That's what it was, yeah. They leave that part out of the story, ironically.
Yeah. Well, just as well, really.
After the fire, he just became, Jerry the King Lawler's dentist. Makes sense.
Yeah.
See, what happened was, after the fire, he went to like an orphanage, and then Jerry the King Lawler needed somebody to train to be his royal dentist, and so he came to the orphanage and said, "Oh, give me that one." And so then he brought him back, trained him, and that's what happened.
Yes.
People don't know that part of the story, but that's how you fill in the gap between Isaac Yankem
and Kane.
And I don't want to hear a goddamn word about fake Diesel. Okay, I don't want to hear.
No.
That was all fake. Anyway, the main event of this show is Jim the Anvil Neidhart versus Steve Austin. No Hearts come out here with Neidhart, but they are watching in the back. But no Bret Hart though. Bret Hart ain't here. He's not here.
No, he's definitely not there.
We heard him on the phone earlier. He's in Calgary. Bret Hart wouldn't lie, so he's definitely not here. So my biggest takeaway from this match is Neidhart is gassed immediately.
Yeah, he's not in a good place. He can barely lift his arms because he's so overweight and jacked up and gets blown up within seconds. The last one you wanted out there with Austin was Jim Neidhart, really.
Yeah, I think it was everybody else had wrestled that night. Maybe is why they.
Yeah, I suppose.
So yeah, like I wrote in my notes, Austin was just working circles around. There was a long rest hold of a headlock, and then we got a fight out of it, only to fight back into a long headlock rest hold again. But then there's like a pretty cool spot on the outside where like Neidhart's trying to body slam Austin, but Austin reverses it and then body slams Neidhart on the ramp. And then they tell us something's happened in the back.
Yeah, but just before that though, Austin was trying to do an abdominal stretch. Abdominal, yeah.
Yeah, you said
that thing. Yeah, stretch. But because Neidhart hasn't even got the flexibility, it looks so awkward. And Steve Austin trying to do the best he could with it.
And he had to get like this close to the ropes too. Like Austin's like standing right next to the ropes.
Yeah.
So yeah, before they go to break, they tell something happening in the back, and then when they come back, they show us that Bret Hart is in the building. He's attacked Ken Shamrock. The funniest part about this to me is he's got one of those trash cans that say Raw on it, and he's beating Ken Shamrock with it.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon, who has no idea what a trash can is, he's got a gallon drum.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's what we keep under the ring, is it? A gallon drums.
That's usually where you put the trash hat, Glenn, is in your gallon drum.
Yeah, your gallon drum.
I don't know why, but I thought that was fucking hilarious. Vince McMahon doesn't even know what a trash can is. He has no idea. So, I mean, not a whole lot to note from this match. Bret Hart eventually runs in at the end. They start
just to prove that he was a liar.
Yeah.
He's a no good, dark, cheaty liar.
He's a filthy hyena, Glenn, is what he is.
Yeah, so when he's calling all those other people filthy hyenas.
And so, like, everybody's gone already. They took out Ken Shamrock. LOD was apparently chasing the Godwins back to fucking Arkansas or something. I'm not sure. And then, so they're beating down Austin. Brett puts the figure 4 around the ring post. Mankind tries to come down to help. He, like, has, like, the mandible claw on Hart, but a Hart won't break the hold. And then they start, like, hitting Mankind with chairs, but he won't break the mandible claw. And that's basically where the show goes off the air.
Yeah, that's it. See you in Calgary.
Yep. That was the go home show before In Your House Canadian Stampede. And I would say this has far exceeded any go home show to a pay-per-view we've done so far.
Oh, definitely. And mainly because of the Undertaker and Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
Matches weren't great. Nearly everyone ended in a DQ or a count out.
Well,
but that's beside the point.
Of the matches. I thought the Owen. Well, if it would have been longer, I guess it would have been better. But I thought the Mankind Pillman match was good. I guess now
you extended that a bit, couldn't they? Really?
Yeah.
You know, just to have that 30 seconds with Neidhart and Austin didn't need to go on as long as it did either.
Definitely. I mean, that needed to be shaved off 4 minutes just for Neidhart's sake.
Yeah, that's right.
Definitely.
Yeah, they should have just had that a couple of minutes and then had the family out there and the Heart Foundation or whatever they're calling themselves to attack Austin.
Yeah, so I'm going to give this one 2 thumbs up, I think. This one
yes, 2 thumbs up.
For all the reasons we just stated.
2.5.
2.5.
Yeah, this is so iconic. Just those two promos are so iconic for this time period.
Yeah.
I know as we go on, we're just going to have to accept the match quality for what it is. It is not the sort of match quality in the regular shows that people believe that they used to watch.
Right. The pay-per-views had some good matches, but even the pay-per-views had a lot of weird crap matches too. But this pay-per-view that we are going to be looking at next week that we're reviewing isn't a crap pay-per-view. It's actually pretty good. We're going to see Hunter Hearst Helmsley take on Mankind in a light heavyweight showcase match. The great Sasuke is going to take on Takamichi Noku. The Undertaker will defend the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Vader, who will have that dastardly Paul Bearer in his corner. And the main event is a 5-on-5 tag team match. The Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, Brian Pillman, the British Bulldog, Jim Neidhart, and Owen Hart will take on Ken Shamrock, Goldust, the Legion of Doom, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's a pretty great fucking pay-per-view, and I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, so am I.
Definitely.
It's been a long while since I've watched that one.
Definitely. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out all the lovely people that Glenn's going to plug for you right here, right now.
Well, you've already done the boys at UTT. Andy's back with Steve. They've released their first new episode. I don't know what's happening yet with the Doctor Who podcast. I think it's still in production that'll be coming out at some point. And of course, DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc.
Make sure you check out all those fine folks, and make sure you check out a fine folk of ours. He is Thomas Price. It's Thomas Price 2020 on the Instagrams and the threads. He is Thomas Price 2017 on the Twitter machine. Make sure you check out our other ventures. We have a Wrestling Classic watch along that we're doing right now. If you don't know what the Wrestling Classic is, it's a one-night 16-man King of the Ring tournament from 1985. And we're really enjoying watching some 3 to 4 minute matches from some of our favorite 80s WWE.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, we got into a lot of things on that show. If you're easily offended, don't listen to it. But if you're not easily offended, go ahead and give it a listen.
Yeah. If you're easily offended, why are you listening to any of our shows?
You shouldn't be here at all. Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, make sure you check out I Don't Know Shit, The Life and Times of Psycho Sid. We're on episode 7 will be coming out this week, and we've got some more jobbers getting their brains beat out before Sid ventures out of WCW into WWF. And that's it, Glenn. I don't think I got anything else to plug, do I?
I think you've done it all.
Oh, and we're going to be doing some Crown Jewel preview. We're doing some Crown Jewel predictions before we watch some more Wrestling Classic this week. So be on the lookout for that. You probably listen to that.
Saturday, isn't it?
It is on Saturday. You can listen to that on probably Saturday morning. That'll be on YouTube for you to check out. So, well, that's it, Glenn. I think there's one thing left to do, and that's for you to say goodbye.
Goodbye.